Dear student, today we shall be going to study our second part of the lesson on saying please, which was written by George Alfred Gardiner. So in the fourth passage, the writer, he was penniless. Penniless means without money. He does not have money even to purchase the ticket for his journey. So what happened? The conductor to whom he encountered was very polite. He was a very good natured personality, and that conductor, he gave him excuse. He said that if you don't have money, it doesn't matter, you give me tomorrow or some other day, whenever you are traveling in the bus, at that time you give me. So he gave him ticket. Okay, and later on what happened, the conductor, he asked him where you want to go. He said that Hong Kong bank, nearby Hong Kong bank, it is in London. So he says that some other day you give me the traveling amount. So in this way the conductor, he smiled at him, and in this way he gave him the tickets. So the writer, he was very much impressed by the conductor's personality, and his behaviorism appealed a lot to the writer. He became very happy, and then what happened, he started searching the money. For example, if we travel without tickets in a bus or train, so people, they considered us just like a criminal. Okay, if a TT, for example, if he will catch us among the people, so what will happen? The people, they will gaze at you just like a criminal. Okay, without money, you are traveling in the bus or train. So in this way people will think you as a dishonest man, dishonest person. So similarly here the writer, he was penniless, and they considered him a naive means dishonest person. So the conductor, he gave him a ticket. So then he started searching in his pocket, but some coppers, copper is a coin, some coppers means smallest unit of pound, some smallest unit of money means coin. He got it, and in this way the writer, he gave that coin to the bus conductor, and conductor, in this way he sort out this business transaction, means the ticket amount he gave. So in the passage number 4, the writer, he liked the behaviorism of the bus conductor, and he says that the conductor was very good personality. He considered he is very much concerned about his passenger. He was giving his good service to his passenger. Now let us have a glance over the passage number 4. It is not therefore with any feeling of unfriendliness to conductors as a class that I paid tribute to a particular member of that class. First I became conscious of his existence one day when I jumped onto a bus and found that I had left home without any money in my pocket. So what happened? He said that I would like to pay my tribute to those bus conductors who are generously rendering their service wholeheartedly to their passengers. And they are behaving in a good manners. I jumped on the bus. He went on the bus, and what happened? He forgot his purse, and money was kept at home. Everyone had the experience and knows the mixed feeling which the discovery arouses. You are annoyed because you look like a fool. If suppose without ticket TT will catch you, so you will feel very much embarrassed, and you look like a fool. People will consider you as a dishonest man. They will gaze at you from the side just like a criminal. Okay, you would not be able to surprise if the conductor eyed you coldly as much as to say, yes, I know that, still old trick. And the conductor will tell you, yes, you don't teach me a lesson, it is old trick. Means the passenger who does not want to give the money, who does not want to purchase the ticket, what they are doing, they are making different kinds of excuse. The conductor would say the writer, yes, that is old trick. You are putting your hand in the pocket and searching that I have forgotten that purse at home. This is old trick now. And even if conductor is a good fellow and lets you down easily, you are faced with the necessity of going back, and the inconvenience, perhaps the missing your train or your engagement. Having searched my pockets in vain for stray coppers, and having found it utterly penniless, I told the conductor with as honest face I could assume. Then in this way, what happened? The writer, he says that when I put my hand in the pocket at that time, that I did not find the purse. So I request him, some other day I will give you the money. So the conductor, he gave a smile and he says that, okay, where you want to go? He says that Hong Kong, in London there is a one Hong Kong bank there. So he said that some other day you give me. So this writer, he said that on another day how can I pay you your money. So in this way he started searching. Then fortunately he got some penny and he gave to the bus conductor, and in this way the transaction has closed. He has given the money to the bus conductor. So in the passage number 4, the writer, he is talking about the good manners, behaviorism of the bus conductor, how he tackle his passengers, and in this way the writer, he was very much impressed by the bus conductor, and in this experience, whatever experience he has got, that he has shared, and he says that means it doesn't matter whether the person who is low grade employee, whether watchman, whether this cleaner, whether garbage man who is cleaning the garbage. So what type of job you are doing, it doesn't matter. If you are spreading the good manners, mannerism and good behaviors among your means in your surrounding, so what will happen? You will lead a happy life. You will pass your life very happily and cheerfully by promoting good manners. So it depends on you. So always try to smile, always try to use courteous word, thank you, oh you are welcome, pardon, okay, etc. So all these courteous word can lead your life happily. Okay, all these courteous word we must use in our day-to-day life. So that the writer here, he said that bus conductor was a cheerful personality. So this is the main idea of the passage number 4. Now let us have a glance on the passage number 5. A few days later, my most sensitive toe was trampled on rather heavily as I sat readily on the top of a bus. I looked up with some anger and more agony and saw my friend to the cheerful countenance. Sorry sir, he said, I know these are heavy boots, got them because my own feet get trod on as much and I am treading to other people's home. So what happened? The writer, his leg was trampled. Trampled means crushed under the heavy boot of the bus conductor. Next day again he started traveling, so he encountered the same bus conductor. So what happened? Conductor, he apologized him. He said him sorry to the writer, and the conductor, he told him, I know very well that my boot is very heavy and it gives you a pain. For that I am really sorry. If you please forgive me, apologize me, pardon me. He is good at giving comfortness to his passenger. The good quality of conductors are mentioned in this passage is that whenever any old man comes in the bus, so he becomes the son of that old man. Whenever children come in the bus, so he used to behave just like a fatherly figure with the children. He is becoming caring father for the children. As with the young people, always indulge. Whenever young people comes with the same age group of bus conductor, he used to crack jokes. He says merry joke. He entertain the young people, and in this way he used to spread good manners. If blind man comes, so he safely he catch the hands and he take them down at the pavement. Pavement is a footpath, and in this way he is telling the bus driver to stop the bus, and he is rendering his service wholeheartedly. He is promoting the good manners, and these all qualities of the bus conductor appealed the writer most. So in this way the writer, he is appreciating the works, the service of bus conductor. Next, he had hurt me, but he was so nice about it. I had assured him he hadn't. After this I began to observe him whenever I boarded his bus. and found a furious pleasure in the constant good nature of his bearing. He seemed to have an inexhaustible fund of patience and a gift for making his passenger comfortable. So in this way, he is making his passenger comfortable by behaving. He is always giving comfortness to his passenger. So to the old people, he is becoming son, just like a son. How the son he used to interact with their parents, father. So he becomes the son for the old people, and he becomes caring father for the children. And for young people, he used to make the entertainment jest and some jokes. He used to crack the joke. He make them happy. And for the blind people, he is catching their hand and he is crossing the road. Next, he would call to Bill in front of to wait while he took him across the road or round the corner or otherwise safely on his way. In short, I found that he irradiated means spread or produce, irradiated, spread or produce, irradiated, spread. What spread? Means good manners. Spread. He used to spread. Irradiated means spread such an atmosphere of good temper and kindliness, and a journey with him was a lesson in natural courtesy and good manners. So in this way, the journey, he makes the journey very much means pleasant for his passenger. So for example, whenever we are traveling in the bus or train, so sometime what happened, if we are beside us the passenger who is seated, he is having a good sense of humor. So what happened, he makes the journey very pleasant. If you will if you will encounter some passenger who is having means rude temper, he cannot adjust you in this means beside you. So what will happen, he will quarrel, he will fight, he will tell you, you put your goods upside on the upboard, don't keep here, like that, like this way. So what happened, it depends on means moods and manners, what type of person you are encountered with, it depends on that. So the passengers, what happened, they makes your life journey pleasant. If you are encounter with bad tempered manner, so your journey will become somewhat difficult. Next, what struck me particularly was the ease with which he got through his work. If bad manners are infectious, so also are good manners. If we encounter incivility, most of us are apt to become uncivil. But if it is unusually uncouth person who can be disagreeable with sunny people. So here he is saying that good manners, if bad means good manners are very good to promote happiness. And bad manners are just like infectious virus. If suppose bad manners people encounter with you, at that time what will happen, you may feel unpleasant. And both are on the contrary, both are having its own pros and cons. Good manner is having a good characteristic, positive traits, and bad manners are having negative traits. So it both of these characteristics are having its own pros and cons. Next, uncouth means impolite. Nothing clears up my spirits like a fine day, said kids and cheerful person descend on even the gloomiest of us with something of the benedictions of a fine day. Benediction means blessing. Even the great poet in English, John Keats, he says that we must consider as a blessing. Benediction means blessing. Whenever we encounter good manners oriented person or traits, so those person, they will make our life happy. And his own civility, polite bus conductor, and his own civility, his conciliatory address, good humored. Conciliatory means friendly feeling. Bearing infected his passenger. In lightening their spirit, he lightened his own task. His gaiety was not a wasteful. Gaiety means cheerfulness, luxury, but a sound investment. So what happened? It is if we are facing good manners people, passenger in the bus or train. So what happened? It would become our means the writer says that it is a good investment, luxury and a sound investment. So what happened? You will feel means relaxed and comfortable. So in your journey. So these are the point. So all these are the main ideas of the passage number 5. So both good manners and bad manners are having its own pros and cons, and bad manner infect the society at a large, and good manners promotes happiness, feeling of cheerfulness. It also promotes the qualities like honesty. We should always become honest whenever we are traveling, wherever we are going. We should means our act must be positive. It should not hurt the sentiment of other people. So whenever we are traveling, at that time we should keep all these traits in our mind, and that we should not affect any other person when we are traveling in the bus or train. So we should be cordial with any passengers while we are traveling in the bus or train. So these are the main idea of the passage number 5. Now let us have a glance on the passage number 6. The passage number 6 is the climax of the story. So writer has given the example of William Wordsworth. He derives the pleasure, he derives the moral lesson from the poor lease gatherer, and second is the Chesterfield. So in the passage number 6, the writer he has given 2-3 example. He says that even policemen, they are just like an angel. Whenever any riot takes place, so at that time what happened? They are rescuing the people. At a time of riots, they are saving the life of the people, and they are the custodian of peace. Who? These police people. So the writer in the passage number 6, he says that he want to pay the homage, or we can say tribute to whom? To those person who are cheerful, who are promoting the good manners. To them he is about to write a panegyric. Panegyric is a piece of writing in praise of someone. He wanted them to highly appreciate. Let us have a glance for the passage number 6. I have missed him from my bus route of late, but I hope that only means that he has carried his sunshine to another road. I cannot be too widely diffused in a rather drab. Drab means dullness. World, and I make no apologies for writing a panegyric as unknown bus conductor. If Wordsworth could gather lesson of wisdom from the poor lease gatherer on the lonely moor, I see no reason why lesser people should not take lesson in conduct from one who shows how a very modest calling may be dignified by good temper and kindly feeling. So William Wordsworth was a very great writer of an English literature. He can derive a pleasure, he can derive this moral from the poor lease gatherer. What is this poor lease gatherer? The subject of Wordsworth poem Resolution and Independence, or the lease gatherer. So this is the subject of Wordsworth poem. In this poem he derives goodness from the poor lease gatherer. He learned the lesson from the poor lease gatherer. Such a great personality, William Wordsworth. Then why we should not derive the lesson from our subordinates? Okay, we should also derive the pleasure from pleasure and happiness and positive traits from our subordinate. So Wordsworth was a very great personality of an English literature. So he says that nothing goes. If a person is your subordinate, if he is having good traits, you should take them, you should inherit from them and apply in your own life. Then what will happen? You will proceed forward. So it doesn't matter. Goodness, there is no harm to learn the goodness, good qualities from our subordinate. That point the writer is making very clear. He is giving the example of Wordsworth. Even Wordsworth can learn from his subordinate, then why we cannot? Next. It is a matter of general agreement that the war has had a chilling effect upon those little everyday civilities of behavior that sweeten the general air. We must get those civilities back if we are to make life kindly and tolerable for each other. We cannot get them back by invoking the law. The policeman is a necessary symbol and the law is a necessary institution for a society that is still somewhat lower than the angels. But the law can only protect us against material attack. So here in the second paragraph, the writer he is saying that these police people at the time of riot, what happened? They are rescuing the people at the time of riots, whenever riot takes place. So what happened? These police people, they are custodian of peace. Their main duty is to spread means peace in their jurisdiction. So these police people, they are not less than angels. They are just like an angels. They are rescuing the life of the people. They are controlling the rights. They are putting their life into the danger in order to maintain peace and harmony in the society and community. So their role is very important. This institution is working and they will protect you from the material attack. Material attack means the people who are attacking, one community attacks at the time of riots. Hindu-Muslim riots very often takes place. So what happened? Their duty is to control it. They are controlling it and they are rescuing the life of the people. So they are not less than angels according to the writer in this perspective. But the law can only protect us against material attack. Now will the leaf man's way of meeting moral affront by physical violence help us to restore the civilities? I suggest him that the world have a more subtle and effective revenge if he had treated the gentleman who would not say please with elaborate. A moral affront means insult to someone's dignity and politeness. He would had a victory not only over the boor. Boor means insensitive person. The writer he says that even this would be a big tribute for the person at the time of means at the time of riots take place. So what happened? We should appreciate, we should encourage the police personnel whenever they are doing their service and they are rescuing the life of the people. They are not less than angel. He would have the victory not only over the boor but over himself. That is the victory that counts. Means what? He would have the victory, the person who is considered as a low, inferior in the society, but what happened? They are having high moral ground, they are having good manners, so they win the spiritual victory over the material victory. The polite man may lose the material advantage, but he always has the spiritual victory. The polite man, sometimes what happened? The people are very poor, means the low grade employee, they are working honestly and their superior, they are firing them, and what happened? They cannot say anything in front of them. Okay, they remain polite. So that politeness is going to give them a spiritual victory rather than giving them material victory. So material victory is nothing but this spiritual victory is greater than those victory. I comment to the leaf man a story of Chesterfield. In his time, the London street were without the pavement of today, and the man who took the wall had the driest footing. I never give the wall to a scoundrel, said a man who met Chesterfield on the day in the street. Chesterfield is the English statesman's author and patron of letter, is the name of the writer, Lord Chesterfield. So in his book, the writer has cited one scene, and he says that the man, he was constructing the wall and that had the driest footing, and that man, he says in that scene, I never give my wall to a scoundrel. Scoundrel means rough, means impolite person. Said a man who met Chesterfield one day in the street. I always do, said Chesterfield, stepping with a bow into the road. I hope the leaf man will agree with his revenge was much more sweet than if he had flung the fellow into the mud. So in this way, the writer, he says that I think that this leaf man, he must also derive the moral message from this man, means from this scene of the Chesterfield, he can also derive his revenge. Okay, that revenge must be in a positive side, it must not be a negative. So in this way it would promote means harmony and more sweet than if the had flung fellow into the mud. So the writer, he says that this lift man, he was doing his duty, but thing is that what happened, he lose his temper, and in this way this incident took place, and he is supposed to pay the penalty. So that's why it happened, because due to lack of good manners this incident happened. That passenger, he complained, and later on he is supposed to pay the penalty for this act. So the writer, in the end, what he's saying, that the moral of this lesson is that learn to be as polite as possible, but also accept impoliteness when it occurs as a part of life. So this is the moral of the lesson. Means we must learn to be polite. Try to become more polite as far as possible, but accept impoliteness when it occurs. Whenever any person does any impoliteness behavior in front of you, so try to acknowledge it as a part of life, and means try to consider it what is right and what is wrong. So it is based on your sound judgment. Try to acknowledge both the traits and try to understand both of the traits. So in this way the writer, he is emphasizing on the good manners. So good manners, what are the good manners? Good manners are the courteous word thank you, means whenever we are acknowledging thank you, sorry, please, you are welcome, okay. So all these words are words of courtesy. We should employ this characteristic in our life and try to promote good manners. If we promote good manners in the society, it would be means good for the health and hygiene of the people, and in this way society will become strong and healthy. If suppose you will promote bad manners, so society would be recognized as a bad, if where the people are living all impolite, okay. So in this way, dear student, the writer, he has emphasized on good manners, and he says that always good manners people are acknowledged, they are always appreciated, and the people who are bad, they are not liked by the other people, they are not liked by the society at large. So dear student, these are the main idea of the passage number 6. So now I request you to go through these 3 passages and try to find out the question and answers of this passage number 4th, 5th and 6th, and I will give you some question and answer on our WhatsApp. And dear student, if you are having any doubt regarding this passage number 4th, 5th and 6th, then please you give your comment on the comment box section of your YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, and you are write, not to forget to write your name on the comment box section of the YouTube channel. Your comment would be considered as your presentee. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you.